Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here. Bring you all my Kagero Legion Cardfight Vanguard Premium deck profile for November 2019. Actually, I've been wanting to do an update to this premium deck for quite a while now. I'm a big fan of Dragonic Overlord in general, so I figured working on the Dragonic Overlord, the Cross Legion with the new Dragonic Overlord, the N, would be a perfect update for this premium deck profile. It's actually been a while since I've done a premium deck for an update, and I figured this would be a perfect one to start off with. Got a good amount of the support for the deck. It's a really awesome deck with the whole focus being the Legion revival using the new Dragonic Overlord, the N, to restand for some pretty powerful numbers and also being able to retire some of your opponent's rear guards along with the Dragonic Overlord, the Cross's own ability. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the Stride Zone, good focus on the Dragonic Overlord support. I run 3 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Dragonic Overlord the Purge. The standard stride for this card, and once per turn, choose a face down card from your G zone, turn it face up. Choose a card with Overlord and its card name from your hand and put it into your soul. If the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone is 4 or less, choose one of your opponent's vanguards and deal 1 damage. During that damage check, all trigger effects are nullified, so you're able to really hit for some pretty good numbers with this card, and its second effect as well, which is Generation Break 3. This unit has the same number of drives as the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone. So with Generation Break 3, you're able to, most of the time if they're at 5 damage, have a quintet drive, being able to check 5 cards from the top of your deck for the drive check. So you go through the cards very, very quickly, and this is one of the main cards I like to go into for the Stride. After setting it up with our new premium Stride, we have Gilgal, which we'll get to in just a second as well, since most of the time I like to save the cards for the Stride setup, like the Overlord cards and the Soul, to use for this card's skill instead of having to use them for the Stride cost. So setting up Gilgal first definitely does come in handy. For some more pressure with the restand, late game I run 2 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Dragonic Overlord the Ace. Counterblast 2, choose a face down card with Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragonic Overlord the Ace in your G zone. Turn it face up. If the number of face up cards in your G zone is 2 or more until the end of this turn, this unit gets drive -1 and the ability choose a card from your hand and discard it. Choose an Overlord card from your hand and discard it. At the end of the battle, this unit attacks. Stand this unit, it gets plus 5,000. So you have a restand ability with this card, and just the overall pressure of the twin drive with each stand definitely does come in handy, since it gets drive -1, but Strides have the triple drive to rely on as well. So really, really strong pressure with the +5 on the restand, and just the overall power that your unit underneath this one will have also. And I also run 4 Flame Arms Zygenberg with this one. It has the once per turn Soul Blast. Choose a card face down with the same card name as this unit from your G zone, turn it face up, and retire one of your opponent's rear guards. And then also has Generation Break 3. Once per turn, choose the same number of cards from your hand as the number of your opponent's rear guards and discard them at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. You may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit, and it gets drive -2. Just overall great pressure. If your opponent has no rear guards, it means you don't have to pay anything for this card's stride costs. So I like to run it as it is, just because it's an easy stride to go into. Since you don't have to unflip for its other ability, it just helps for the retire depending on how many other face-up ones you have in the G zone, and it works as well because you can also set up those flips with Dragonic Overlord the Purge and just have the other retire effects to clear out your opponent's field also. And then for the one-ofs, I run the 1 of the new Progenitor Dragon of Lightning Flame Gilgal. From the G zone, it can't be turned face up like all the other Progenitor dragons. You have to discard a card with the same name as a card on your Vanguard, which works very, very well with the Legion, sharing both of the grade 3 spots with this card. And also Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 1 until the end of this turn. This unit battles all of your opponent's units in 1 attack and gets plus 10,000. And also when an attack hits, countercharge 1. So it helps for making sure you can restock all of your Counterblast that you used up with the deck. And also, like I said, when it's face up, the cost for all your stride abilities you could pay without paying the stride cost. So it saves Dragonic Overlord units in your hand from being used for the stride cost, which can easily be put back into the deck with Legion, but still saving them in your hand, since they're very easy to search out in this deck as well, is a big benefit also. So you just need the 1 of this card, obviously, since it just helps once it's set up in the G zone to go into the other strides we run in the deck also. And then late game, also I run the 1 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Blazing Burst Dragon Generation Break 8. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, retire all of your opponent's rear guards, and all of your rear guards get plus 10,000 until end of turn. If 3 or more units were retired, this unit gets plus 10,000 in critical until end of turn. Just more pressure with this, being able to hit all of your opponent's units. I like to run both just as the options to go into for both of the cards when need be, also just for those spots. And also for the G Guardians, I run 1 Divine Dragon Knight Absalom. With this one, it just has power shields when your Vanguards attack, depending on how many open spaces your opponent has. Also 1 Advanced Guard Dragon for the Soul Blast, helps to clear out some of my opponent's units in the back row. Same with Defeat Flare Dragon, clearing out the entire back row and also being able to recycle back units for my opponent's back row, and also, like I said, putting 2 Overlords from the drop on the bottom of the deck, and then retiring the whole back row can help to get rid of pesky boosts as well. And 2 Denial Griffin, being able to retire the unit that's attacking is another great bonus, since it doesn't matter how big the power is if you just retire the thing that's attacking with Denial Griffin. And that's it for the Stride Zone. Now moving on to the main deck for the grade 3s. I run 4 Dragonic Overlord the X. The main unit we go into for the Legion with this card. When this unit Legion, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as a unit on your Vanguard. And to your opponent, show it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So you can either search Dragonic Overlord the X or Dragonic Overlord the N, whichever you need for that skill. So very, very useful with that for sure. And also +1, choose a card with Dragonic Overlord the X from your hand and discard it at the end of the battle that this unit attack. If the attack did not hit that battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 2 of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So the retire helps for going into some of the other strides like we talked to, like Flame Arms, Zygenberg, just eating up your opponent's resources with that skill. And also, since we're able to Legion with the new Dragonic Overlord the N, we just have all the more pressure as well with our attacks to go into, and being able to hit the 24,000 power is another added bonus also. And speaking of Dragonic Overlord the N, I run 4 of the new Dragonic Overlord the N on the Vanguard. Having Imaginary Gift Force when you ride it is an added bonus if you can't go into the Legion, and just having this as the option. But also at the end of the battle they attacked, put up to 1 of the other effects below, and you cannot activate the same effect in the same turn. If your hand has 4 or less cards, +1, Soul +1, stand this unit, and it gets Drive -1 until end of turn. If your Soul has a card with Overlord in its card name, discard 3 cards from your hand, stand this unit, and it gets plus 10,000, Drive -1 to end of turn. So 2 restands with the pressure of a Legion definitely does come in handy, since you don't really need Dragonic Overlord the Ends to discard anymore like the old N, but also being able to set up an Overlord in the Soul with early game like cards like Dragonic Overlord the Purge. So if you stride into the Purge first, put the card in the Soul, you'll meet the requirements for the End, and then also be able to set up the Legion as well. So if you ride into the X, put a card in with the Purge, then go for Legion, having this set up on the Vanguard circle, and then also being able to rely on that for the pressure definitely does come in handy for sure. It's what I really like about the new grade 3 setup. You'll have the restand power you need, since they're both sharing the Vanguard circle, but also have that power along with the force marker to go into for at least 34,000 on its own if you use Force 1, or the additional critical, and then the multiple attacks you can do if you go for Force 2 instead. And that is it for the grade 3s. Moving on to the grade 2s, I run 4 Dragon Full Armored Buster. On Vanguard or rear, if your opponent has no rear guards, this unit gets plus 3,000. So is Zygenberg, it's just another additional plus on the rear guard, but I mostly use it for the search. When placed, Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Overlord and its name from among them, put into your Soul, and shuffle your deck. So that search power not only does it help to set up the drop zone for Legion, but also being able to search the proper Overlord is an added help as well with the deck, depending on what you wanted to go for. And I also run 4 Dragonic Burnout just for more consistency for putting cards back. Once per turn on rear, +1, put a grade 2 or greater card from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So you have plenty of cards, the X and Dragonic Overlord, the N, for consistency, you can easily search them out with plenty of the cards in the deck, including Full Armored Buster and a few of the grade 1s we have. So having to use Dragonic Burnout to put them back into the deck to research and reuse is an added bonus that definitely does come in handy. It's why I like to run 4 of this card, because not only does it retire one of your opponent's rear guards, it also gives you that search and consistency, so your deck will never run out, because you can put the cards back with Legion, or you can use Dragonic Burnout, which definitely is a plus. It's kind of like the old Dragonic Burnout, but I'd say just a little more consistent, since you don't have to use Soul as much, since Soul is mostly focused on for Dragon Full Armored Buster. And to finish off the grade 2s, I run 3 Berserk Dragon, just retire power and draw power when you ride it on Vanguard for a Counterblast and a Soul Blast. And when it attacks a Vanguard, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, it gets plus 3,000. So it can hit some pretty high numbers on the rear as well, being able to hit over the 13k bodies that a lot of Vanguards share now when they use Imaginary Gift Force. And that's it for the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s, I run 4 Flame of Hope Airmo. It doesn't have the soul buildup, but still has the draw, counter charge effect, and by retiring this unit when one of your opponent's rear guards is retired. So if you use Dragonic Overlord the X, or one of your Strides abilities, you have this draw power, and also just setting up Airmo in the drop zone gives you Legion power if need be for your cards also. And we were talking about that search earlier. For Dragonic Overlord, I run 4 Lizard General Conroe. You choose a grade 3 from your hand, reveal it. When this unit is placed on rearguard from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 with Overlord and its card name. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, choose a card from your hand, discard it. So not only does it set up Legion, it searches out whichever Overlord you want for your plays, or you can add more Overlords into your hand to use for other skills, including the Purge, since you have to put cards in the soul, along with having a Heart with Dragonic Overlord as well. And you can retire this unit, choose up to 1 of your Vanguards with Overlord and its card name, and this unit gets until the end of turn. When it attacks, countercharge 2. So more unflip power as well, so you always have damage face up, or you should at least always have damage face up when using your cards also. And I also run 3 Sable Dragonute, just as a good ride target overall, giving you the draw when the attack hits. And on rear, when your opponent's rear guard is retired, during your turn, you can retire this unit to draw a card. So along with Airmo, it has draw power, but that Vanguard ride target definitely does come in handy, since all the other grade 1s rely on rear guard power alone. And then just for a little more early game stride power, I run 3 Doombringer High Flame. Retire this unit at the beginning of your ride phase. You may pay the cost. If you do until end of turn, you may stride without paying the cost the next time you stride a G unit with Overlord and its card name. So early game Purge, just having this for the retire for that gives it so you can save the Overlords in your hand to use, and then also just have that setup for your stride zone, and just like I said, the damage you could do to your opponent also. And that is it for the grade 1s. Moving on to the grade 0s. I was debating on what starter I wanted to use. Lizard Soldier Undo popped up. I like it for the grade 2 soul build-up if you want to try Undo. Be my guest. Conroe just helps to set up the grade 1 search depending on the Overlord. So you should almost always have the search going Conroe into Conroe, then being able to search out the multiple grade 3s you need using this card. Since most of the time I don't like to search for the Sentinel, since it is a draw trigger in the deck now. So I prefer to just keep it as the trigger, which can also be shuffled back as well. For the trigger lineup, I am running 8 criticals, so 4 of the new Dragon Dancer Tikla. With this one on rear, Generation Break 1. When your Vanguard attacks, put this unit into your soul, draw a card, and one of your Vanguards gets plus 10,000 until end of that battle. More pressure, especially for the multiple attacks you can do depending on what power strength you want for that certain battle. And also this critical has the same shields and powers as standard triggers, being for a premium format, so definitely one of the ones you need for the deck, since it's pretty generic also. It's not limited to Overlord cards either. And I also run 4 Demonic Dragon Mage Rakshasa just for the critical lineup. I wanted to go with the standard triggers just to have all the shields and powers we can potentially have for all the cards in the deck. And then for the draws, I run the 4 Wyvern Guard Baris, filling up that draw spot with a Sentinel. You can Legion back for more trigger power just to keep the hand consistent. Definitely does help with this card also. And for Dragon Monk Genjo to finish off the deck as well. I like the big shields. I didn't really was worried too much about any of the heals that had the countercharge power, since we were pretty much countercharging plenty enough with the deck alone with all the other cards we run. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you'd all like to see more premium decks, definitely give me some recommendations down in the comments below. Would definitely love to hear it. And until next time, like I said, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.